episode of Starseed Activations. I know I waited to start the live before taking a sip. So tonight it's going to be a very, very short chat because we have the inner Zoom right after. So 8 o'clock Eastern starts the inner Zoom. This particular Zoom we are doing with a donation-based service. And so in the spirit of giving, in the spirit of Christmas, anybody who wants to come, you could just donate $1. And so the donation process makes it so there's no scammers. So last time we did a Zoom and we posted the Zoom link on Facebook. And so we wanted to invite the entire community to come join us. What do you call it? Come on, Instagram. So last time we put a Zoom link right out on Facebook, we had a bunch of scammers that knocked the entire Zoom down. So we don't do that again. So this time, everyone just donate whatever you can and then come. And so you guys can ask your questions. And so we do have a couple people coming already, which is a blessing, I think. And so, yeah, just it'll be fun. Amazing. So I do have 4 questions for tonight. And so today, for me personally, was a shadow work release day. And so, you know, the star people, sometimes they trigger and they're just like, it's time to release. And so every single time that they do this, I know that there's other people in the civilization doing it with me. And so I could see it reflected. There's one gentleman called Tyel who does light language. He's on TikTok. And so when I was doing my shadow release a couple days ago, he was doing the same exact thing as me. And he was brave enough to post a video. And so I'm not brave enough to post a video of it. It's crazy. But you have to, sometimes with these emotions that are trapped inside your physical form, you have to cry and you have to release them. And so the star people actually come down and they use technology on me. And so the technology, I can feel it like a frequency, not like a gun, but it's like a frequency laser. And so it beams in the back of my heart chakra and I could feel it pulsing. And it's like, dwan, 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 dwan. Like that's how it feels. And it's like forcing me to release all these emotions that are trapped inside. And so the star people can do this for you guys too. And so especially because each and every star seed, we came here with reinforcements. And so our star families are here to guide us and support us. But if you start making the contact and communication with them, they can come down, they can assist you deeply in your healing. And so, yes, good evening. Welcome, welcome. Thank you guys for joining us or me. Okay, the first question that we had to deal with today was spiritual bypassing. And so by holding higher frequencies, it doesn't allow a perception of negativity or ignorance is bliss. Now, where does spiritual bypassing come into play? And so this is very important that we become aware because spiritual bypassing is, let's say, for an example, we see an injustice happening before us. And so you could see someone getting taken advantage of, or someone getting bullied, right? And so me personally, I don't tolerate that type of negativity. So if I see something, I'm getting involved one way or the other. That's just I don't know why. That's just what I do. I don't like people bullying people. I think it's not my reality. And so spiritual bypassing is when we sit back and we're like, well, they must have a contract in place to have the experience and it's okay. And yes, to some degree, it is okay for each and every one of us to have our own experiences, even if they are negative in nature. However, if you see something, then the universe is putting it in your location and you are meant to take action upon it. And so if it's in your reality, if you see it, it's up in your face, it's firsthand, you have the human side, the physical side of you. So you have to jump to action. That's kind of like having a call to action when these things manifest at your feet, right? And so we're put in situations like this. Now, many times we're the witness. Sometimes we're involved in the situation. So you have to put yourself from the other perspective the star people are saying. If you were the one involved in the complication, or like, let's say you had a fight, would you want someone to step up and to assist you? And so my answer would be yes, every single time. Now, I personally, when you're at a high frequency, when you do get into a fight, sometimes you'll manifest a savior. And so I had this experience once where I was in the 7-Eleven. Now, meanwhile, I was walking around with Beats. And so these giant headphones, right? I had them on my head. I couldn't hear a thing. I was bouncing to my music, just minding my own business. And then there was a very large man in front of me who he started a race war with me. And so I didn't even hear a word he said because I had the music going. But before I even knew it, the homeless guy that I was always giving to and donating to and feeding him and buying him alcohol on his birthday. Yeah, if he wants it, whatever, just get it. Happy birthday, right? He's a human. And so I would do that. He popped in between us and he diffused the entire situation by yelling at him. And he was tall. And he got right up in his face and said, she's a good person, leave her alone. And it made the man walk away from me. So when we are a high enough frequency, and this all happened before I even had time to take the headphones off. Like I had no idea what was happening. So when you reach a high enough frequency, negativity is not going to have a chance to attack you. And so there will be protectors put in your place. If you're in a negative location, you will be guided back to safety. That's also happened to me. And so when you start to hold a loving, caring, kind emotion or frequency, right now, in situations like that, we have an option to fire off a fear-based emotion, or we can drop into love, right? And so now if you guys are being attacked in that manner and you drop into love and you say, it's okay, I understand, and I forgive you, right? What's going to happen the second that you say that to that individual? It's going to diffuse the situation immediately because he's going to think, oh, well, she's not upset or fearful or starting to fight, right? And so love, it heals all wounds, right? And you have to realize you have to have compassion for each and every person that you come across, because all of that argument and negative and chaos, it's all been broadcast upon us through the news, the media, right? You see it, it's in your face. You know, you can, each and every one of you guys watching this live, you can recognize people who watch the news because it comes flowing out of them like it's regurgitated fake knowledge, right? And so you can see it and you can sense it in them because it changes their frequency basically. And so just be aware. But spiritual bypassing is when you step back and you're like, it's only a hologram, they'll be fine, right? And then somebody gets hurt and then you just sat back and you bypass the entire situation. That's not what we are here to do. We are here to put our 2 cents in, to become involved and engage. And if you see something, and it's just like, even you have to be the change that you wish to see in the world. And so, for example, if you want to see cleaner beaches, when you are walking on a beach, pick up the trash, right? Make it a ritual to at least fill one trash bag filled with trash and then go throw it out. And so you're embodying that change that you wish to see manifest. And so, hi, welcome, everyone. Hi, Melissa. Hi, Chrissy. Chris. That's an amazing name, Chrissy Chris. Like, I would just sit there and be like, yo, Chrissy Chris. So it's cool. Okay. Is blissing out at a high frequency able to protect us and transmutate any targeted energy weapons? Yes. And it's so funny that this question comes across. Some of you guys who are in my inner circle, you guys, or if you've been watching the videos from the beginning, you know that, I mean, it's like, it's all the time, but there's a government guy. He's like cloaked. I can't see him. I've seen him the first time he was here. And so now I feel when he's here, but he hits me with some sort of targeted energy weapon and I feel it. And like, I do have a meridian imbalance, which is like trying to kill me. It's kind of funny, but whatever, it is what it is. But when he hits me with the frequency, I can feel that meridian being tugged upon. So I can feel it and I know exactly what he's doing. And so, but I don't worry. I don't panic about it because then I go and usually when this happens and I feel it that hardcore, then I go in and the star people do a full energetic clearing. When the star people do my energy clearings, they can move my body. I feel them tugging at the energy grids. It's wild. It's like, we keep talking about meridians and ley lines, which is like, it's a grid. It's like a graph paper that overcoats the actual body. Well, when they pull at one of those strings, you feel the entire body pull. And then that's also how they pull at your memory grid complex. And so the memory grid complex, now, each and every emotional trauma that we experience, we are told to get stored in the body. But that's because of your energetic grid structures, right? And so imagine that you have that graph paper that's all over the physical form, right? And so what makes it so that my emotion is going to be triggered up here? Why didn't it get triggered over here? Right. And so it's the energetic grids, and it's the way that the meridians and ley lines are actually overlapping each other. And it's directly connected into the chakra system or the energy vortexes. And so it depends on the trauma and which energetic center it is connected to. So, for example, let's say you're having a physically focused trauma. A lot of those tune into the root chakra, which then broadcasts into like the lower back area. That's only one example. And so when you know this, the whole energetic grid it's all combined, it's all connected. And so your emotional traumas that get stored in your body is directly tuned in or tied into your memory grid, because it's a memory that is generating an imbalance. And so your memory is what? It's a thought and an emotion. And so these two things are independent grids that overlap one another, and it makes up your memory complex. And so the whole system is very intricate. And so, but when you start to learn how, especially from my perspective, I feel the way that they're pulling at this energy grid that surrounds me. And I'm like, oh, that's how you guys are doing it. And the telepathy too. The telepathy is wild because it's broadcast into some chakra that's out here. And so like all of the messages, and like to some degree, when we first started the telepathy between me and Arcturians, like hardcore telepathy, not like I'm sitting down channeling going into a meditative state. It's not like that. It's like I have one-on-one conversations like they're sitting down next to me. And so when I first started doing that, it was multiple people coming in, and so they cut it off. So it was more one-on-one. So yeah, it's wild. How do you know if you're supposed to stay and keep working on and growing in relationships, or if it's time to move on? Okay, so how does a relationship make you feel? You always want to ask yourself, how does it make you feel? Do you feel drained in the relationship? If you feel like you can have a conversation with the person and you just feel like, ugh, like drained, like emotional, like you just feel like you've tried everything, it's not working, then it may be time to pull the ripcord. And so it's not pretty making choices and decisions like that, but sometimes we have to. And we have to for our own sanity, because this is how we get stuck, right? And we get stuck in a relationship and we get stuck in this cycle, and we don't want to make the change, for whatever reason, having kids, right? And so you don't want to end the relationship because you have kids and you want to work it out. And so, but many times it leads to arguing, fighting, and negativity. And then it doesn't get any better. And so in that case, you have two options. You either seek help or figure out a way to bring the relationship back into a positive alignment. Every single relationship, you have to remember, you both fell in love with each other when you were both in a positive polarity. And so if you both dropped into a negative polarity, of course, you're not going to like each other when you're negative to each other. And so what needs to happen is both people should refocus on self-love. And when they refocus and they find themselves again, and then they'll be attracted again because they liked each other in the positive polarity. And so, but the more you're in a relationship with someone, if you're in a positive polarity, everything is good. But the relationships go through these cycles of ups and downs, up and down. If you can't handle the bad, then it's not the good. You have to make those decisions. So sometimes you can drag them out, and then the universe will shift you out of it. So it all depends. Yeah. Hey, Derek. Welcome. Good luck with that. I know that one's hard. So we've all been through the empath and the narcissist cycle, right? And so we and it's not only in relationships, it's friendships too. And so you may be around someone who's pulling or draining all of your energy, and you've been with them for so long, or their family, or whatever the situation might be. But especially during the process of evolution, we have to focus on ourselves. Not to sound greedy, but we came here with the intention to raise the frequency of the planet. And so we have to love ourselves enough to put ourselves in a positive environment, in a positive relationship, in a positive everything. And the second that you are experiencing negativity or darkness, start making changes to transmute it. Right. So I'm at peace, right? People come, people go all the time in the life. And that's fine. And you know what? You're actually going to find, and this is just what I find, that when you're along the path of evolution, so you're not trying to stay maintained in one frequency. You are shooting for the stars. You are trying to make yourself better every single day that you wake up. That's the process of evolution. Baby step process, but it's still the process. You're going to have people who come into your life when you're at a certain level. And then when you reach a higher level, those people are going to disappear. And then you're going to remanifest people of a higher frequency. This is just what happens. Now, can you guys hang out with physically focused people for hours and hours and hours on end and have these conversations about politics? Because I know I can't. Right. And so like, I can't tolerate those type of conversations. I'm like, it's just not interesting to me. Right. And so you have to think about yourself from that. You raise frequency, the people around you are going to raise frequency. And so, yeah. Okay. So you're feeling so drained, so low. How can you raise your frequency of mind and help others? when we feel drained and we feel a lack of energy, it's always the universe. Remember that the source frequency comes down inside of you and then it flows through each one of the chakras. And so when you feel drained of energy, it's because the way that that energetic is flowing, it's forcing you to focus on yourself, because your body and your energetic grids are in balance somewhere, and it needs to come back into alignment to allow the energy to properly flow. And so you take a look at the first things I do is the oxygen and the pH levels inside the body. That's number one. We're supposed to handle each and every situation from a physical perspective, which is, what herbs can I take? What plants can I take? What can I do physically? Can I exercise? What can I do with my physical form in this physical reality to heal me? And then we're also supposed to handle it from a spiritual perspective. And so we have the emotional side of things and the thoughts, right? And so when we feel like we don't have energy, it's only a feeling, it's an emotion. And so can we force that emotion to pass? Yes, we can. And so even if you are super, super tired, I have a really long hallway in my house. So what we do is, when we just feel drained, like we just want to lay in bed all day, we force ourselves. We use the force. We get up, we run up and down the hallway at least 5 to 10 times, depending. I have my kids do this all the time. And then we sit with our back against the door and we start doing the breath work. Now, what we're doing is we're activating all of these different hormones are being released because you're exercising, right? And the exercise is known to fire up the fight or flight systems, and you're breathing. So you're increasing your oxygen levels. And so after you do this, just sit quietly in meditation after you take like 30 deep breaths in and out after running 10 times at least the hallway. My hallway is gigantic. It's like such a long hallway. And so, but do that 10 times. And then, yes, it's going to stink. Yes, you're going to feel like you're dragging your butt down the hallway. Some people can't even run. If you can't run, let's say I was a cripple, I couldn't even walk. You do the arms, right? You do something, some type of movement that's going to get your system fired up. If you can sweat, that's even better. But get your heart rate running. And so, but then see how you feel. Do the breath work and then drop into meditation and focus on the body, right? So focus on any energy in the body. There'll be tension. There should be tightness. You should have any sort of sensations. Maybe your heart's pumping too much. You feel your blood flow, right? All these different sensations, write them down, because that's all areas of the body that you want to place focus on during your meditations to add more love and light in order to raise the frequency. And so the more you continue to focus on yourself and focus on your body and how it feels, and laughter, love, and bliss, that will raise your frequency faster than anything. So automatically I would stop watching any TV. And I love movies. I love TV shows just like anybody else. I love them. I used to sit there. Yesterday sit there, right, and binge watch Netflix. And then the star people would come along, and 5 minutes of the show would go by, it would get too negative, and they were like, turn it off. And then that's it. But when you sit there and you watch 10, 20 episodes of one show, it doesn't matter the show. They're all the same. The subliminal messages are triggering a negative biological response every single time you watch them. And so stop watching TV, stop watching the news, right? It is not spiritual bypassing. You are focused on yourself. And so a lot of times the technology makes us sad. It adds a form of, it's like you're disconnecting from society. And so when I was a child, I knew every single one of my neighbors up and down my block. I knew all of them. I would take my bike. I would go say hello. I would know their schedules. I knew when they came home. I knew if something was going on in their house that didn't belong there, right? And so I knew all of them. I knew everybody. And people spent more time outside. Everyone knew each other. We would, my gay ex-boyfriend, I have a gay ex-boyfriend, but in his area, they did a whole street barbecue. And so it was amazing. They blocked off the street and all these different families brought food and everyone would hang out and they had music and it was like a block party. I don't see anybody doing that anymore, right? And so back then in that age or that time, people were more connected. So what changed? The technology changed. Because when I was a kid, we had beepers. We did not have cell phones. And then all of a sudden we had cell phones and now it was iPhones and now it's TV and now it's Netflix and Hulu and this and that. And now you see people, they're working 2 or 3 jobs and they go right home, they put on the TV and then that's it. You don't even see them. It's such a disconnect, right? And so it really is, when we start loving each other again, we start putting, self-love starts with disconnecting from the technology. Now, my Facebook followers, they noticed, because I took a week off. I was like, I can't do the technology. It's too much, right? And so taking a week off and stepping back, it allowed me to meditate and refocus and rebalance my life. And so that allows me to keep raising my frequency, because I'm not focused on the technology. I'm not focused on being online. There's a billion messages I get on Facebook alone, Facebook Messenger. And so sorting through all that stuff, sometimes it triggers the anxiety, right? And so you do it every day, though. You do a little each day. But when you disconnect from that reality, it's like, wow, let me go outside and get a breath of fresh air and just soak in the nature, right? I'm going to sit here and I'm going to take a moment just to watch a butterfly, right? How silly is that? But let me ask you something. If you've ever seen someone who's like on their like hospital bed, hospice, right? So they're end of their life, and you ask them, what do you wish you could do? Some of the most interesting people will tell you that they wish that they could just sit outside and watch it rain, right? So they wish that they had more time to spend in nature. And so this is what we are meant to be doing. So sometimes just disconnecting and going outside and just spending a few moments. Now, air is an elemental. And so a lot of you guys watching have the ability to change the airflow. And so there's, air is constantly moving. It's also around us. And so when you start to know the emotional expression of how does the air feel? How does it feel to have a little breeze on your face or your body? You can actually go outside and you can thank Mother Earth for generating a gust of wind, and you can manifest it. It will come for you. And this is the same exact thing that we can do. We can call the rain. Pennsylvania just had this crazy snowstorm, and I was all like, thank you, sunshine. And guess what? We didn't get no snow. Not as well, it flurried, but like we didn't have to shovel, and it was gone like immediately. And like the sun comes out, and I do this all the time with my kids, right? I go outside and I'm like, thank you, universe. Thank you, Lord, for this beautiful blue sky, sunshiny, warm day. And then I feel the emotional expression of how does that make me feel? And then it takes a split second. People think you haven't done anything, but what you actually did was you fired off an emotion code, and you were thankful, and you believed it was already happening, which then in turn shifted the hologram, and it gives you the perception of it's manifesting. It may take a little bit of time. Now, I've had times when I do this and the sunshine just follows me. And so, and my kids are witnesses. I have two kids. They're 11 and 9. They see it all the time. So now it's not even a big deal. They're like, whatever, who cares, right? And so they're over it. That's the level that we've gotten to with this. And so we've had times when it's only sunshiny where we are. And then all of a sudden you look around and everyone else has clouds, right? And so that's how we're able to live in parallel realities, because each one of you guys, you're in your own reality and having your own weather experiences by yourself. And so my weather is always going to be different from yours because we're separate to a degree. And that's just the way it works. It's just amazing. So when you start to actually and feel it, right? How does the sun feel on your body? How does it feel on your face? How does it feel being in a sunshiny, warm day? It doesn't matter if it's winter. It works even better when it's winter. You prove it to yourself. Yeah. Okay. So the fourth question, the final question for tonight, because we do have the inner Zoom coming up at 8. And so anyone who wants to get into the inner Zoom, tonight's the first night we're doing a donation-based Zoom. So just send me a message at thedaniellelipton.com. I'm going to be checking right up until 7:59. And so the donations can be sent to Star People Group at PayPal, at Venmo, or Cash App. Star People Group. It does not matter the amount. I don't care the amount. We just don't want scammers in. And so you guys will get a one-on-one, get to ask your questions. And so just let me know what you guys need to know to help assist you during your process of evolution, right? What happens in the Zoom? So everyone asks one-on-one questions, and they get more time to dive in deep to whatever topics that you guys all want to discuss. And so it's kind of like having one-on-one. Like my sessions are like that too. It's like a whole boatload of information. However, they get a copy and a recording and stuff. So that's the sessions. If you guys do want a recording, the Zoom is also going to be recorded, but you have to send me a message so I can just copy and paste it to your message box. Yeah. And then the fourth final question, is there going to be a big civilization shift in 2023? I personally believe, I think that something is coming. I'm not sure what. And so the star people did, no, I can't say that. Yes, I think that there is going to be some type of shift. And so we can already feel it. Many of us can feel it. A lot of people that I'm interacting with are telling me also that they can feel it. And so how do you guys feel about 2023? Do you feel like something is going to shift? Because the amount of people who are becoming spiritually aware, it's astronomical, the amount of people who are waking up. And so that in itself is bringing a shift. Now, the shift can be positive or it could be negative. It depends on what each and every one of you guys manifests. But 23, we know for a fact that the Illuminati or the Cabal or whatever you guys want to call them, they have been encoding that number into all of the movies and all of the media. 23, 23, 23. So that means that they know that something happens with the number 23. So 2023, right? What's the zodiac? What's the numerology of that number? And so, but I do not recommend anyone to have fear because I don't personally see anything negative happening. I know that some shifts, they bring up chaos energy. And so, but this is the process of learning about what's truly going on. Now, when I learned the conspiracy, it hit home base and I was like, oh my God, all this is happening. And it gets depressing. Right. And so you're to a point, you're just like, oh my God, it's too much. But then little by little, you start to overcome it. You release your fears. You're like, it's okay. This is all happening for our best benefit. And then the second you start learning the spiritual information and the spiritual knowledge, now it's to the point where I'm like, oh, all that stuff is to help us evolve. That's the only reason why it's being allowed into the physical reality to begin with. So we're going to benefit from all the toxicity, right? And so just think about it this way. Let's say you held a toxic crystal, right? So we'll just take this one for an example. I love you, crystal. You're not toxic, but let's just say. So you're holding a toxic crystal. Now, all of a sudden, you've just built up an immunity to this crystal, right? So now there's a whole planet filled with this type of crystal. Nobody can go on the planet. Well, all of a sudden, you can go on the planet because you're immune, right? And so that's how this is working. We're in a toxic environment, yes, but we're building up our immunity and it's actually activating our energetic grid structures to a degree in which we're going to fire off some amazing superpowers. That's the bottom line. So thank you, negativity, because without the negativity, there would be no cause for the species to evolve. There has to be negativity for a species to evolve. Has to be. That's just the process of evolution. And so think about it this way, because the star people are stepping forward and they're saying, think about the birds. And so you have one type of bird and it migrates to two different continents. So one in the tropical and one's in America. The one in the tropical, let's say their beak, it doesn't fit. Maybe they have that little pelican beak and it doesn't fit into the wood to get the bugs. And so they may spontaneously evolve, which happens overnight. It does not take millions of years, hundreds of thousands of years. That's nonsense. It happens spontaneously. So all of a sudden, they grow this beak so that they can peck like a woodpecker and eat the bugs. And so it happens overnight. And so it's just amazing. So when we know this, that means that the bird had to experience some type of negativity in order to evolve, though. So it wasn't able to eat. The species of that particular bird in the tropics, they were put under pressure. So they thought that they were going to die because they had nothing to eat. And then all of a sudden, wham, they evolved. That's what we see happening to us. Now, there's so many people who are afraid of death because of 2020, right? 2020. You know, all that nonsense that just happened. So when we know this, we see the stress. The stress is actually in the energetic grid structure of the human consciousness grid. And so it's calling for the evolution, which is the reason why you see a ginormous spiritual evolution happening right now. Yeah, beautiful. Hi, everyone. Andrea, welcome. So we are going to be starting the Zoom at 8. And so I'm going to give you guys 30 minutes to either donate or purchase a ticket. The tickets can be purchased at daniellelipton.com if you guys want to go that route, or you guys can just send a donation to Star People Group. I'm going to be checking all of these things up until 7:59. So try and do it quick. This way I can just send out the Zoom link and get everybody in there. And so, yes, welcome. Yeah. And so if you guys have any more questions, you can always send them to daniellelipton.com and I will answer them. Daniellelipton.com also has the donate now all the way down the bottom. So you guys can even go to the website, scroll all the way down, hit the donate now, and then I'll send you a Zoom link. You know, you send your email and stuff, send me a message. It's okay. Yes, Mary Jean, I love you too. Many, many love and blessings, you guys. And have a wonderful night. And I will see you guys on the Zoom. Okay.